Tonight, a young man gobsmacked by musical theatre. Hi everyone, welcome to GayTalk Tonight. I'm Andrew Whiteside. My guest is a musical theatre phenomenon. His name is Jamie Burgess. Jamie Burgess grew up in small-town New Zealand. He studied music early and wrote a smash hit Christian song while still at school. He was back in New Zealand recently performing in Gobsmacked, a musical he wrote himself. Jamie, thank you for joining me, coming back on the show, because of course we talked to you and Nikki during the Pride Festival. So what was the general Pride for you? How did you find it?
We have had such a fantastic time in Auckland, and introducing Nikki as a grown-up woman to Auckland has been a lot of fun because she was here as a kid, but this is her first real visit as a woman with fully developed breasts. So she's been enjoying it. It's so pretty. Like, I forgot how pretty Auckland is.
No, you mentioned Nikki's breasts, but of course she's got a fantastic voice as well.
Funny you should say that. She does have a fantastic voice.
But so do you.
We both met at an audition for a musical, and so we both knew straight away that we could sing. It was a professional audition, so yeah, so I think because once I heard her sing and once I saw her personality and I realized she was just a laugh a minute, we became friends because I'm quite funny as well. So our challenge really when we first met was to make each other laugh as many times as we could in a conversation, and it wasn't hard at all. So, you know, we just became friends through that really.
Now, Gobsmacked you brought to Auckland as part of the Pride Festival.
Yes.
Now, you wrote it, you wrote all the music,
yes,
and the lyrics, and it's based loosely, I guess, on her life and your meeting.
I wouldn't even say loosely, it's pretty much actually based on reality, and it's just lucky that we're both theatrical people and have huge personalities, because really there wasn't that much extrapolating of the story to do, because it was just true. So her stories about her failed relationships, her attempts at long-term relationships, sorry, and our attempts, both of us, to be in the theatre industry. They're actually stories that we forget are interesting to people because they're just our stories, but then we put it in front of you and you go, that can't be true. It is true.
I've been really impressed by your musical talent. When did that journey begin for you?
I have always sung and always been interested in music, and it probably comes from my mum. She used to play the guitar and be a bit of a hippie, way down in Timaru. I was actually born in Gore. So the musical journey started at the home of country music. So Mum used to play the guitar and got me into country music as a youngster, and also I was involved pretty heavily in church, and so I was doing church music, and it wasn't the choir and the organ kind of church. It was the big rock band with the drums kind of church. So I was influenced by that really heavily, and luckily I was performing every week, you know, performing in church every week with a band and learning how to write for a band and how to arrange the music and how to make it all work. So that just was something really organic for me from when I was like 10 years old. So luckily I was performing in high school in those last 2 years, learning about composing songs, and I wrote for the Parachute Band in New Zealand as a 17-year-old, and was on their first album called You Alone, and the song was called Spirit Come, and it went really huge, it went really massive. It was like #1 on the Christian countdown on Radio Rima. Ooh, and then it went overseas and it went to America, and that was really, really, really exciting. Because once you break the American market, suddenly you realize the financial possibilities of writing, because in New Zealand it's such a small market. But the song went to America, and then boom, boom, boom. Suddenly I felt like a songwriter, and then I was involved with Parachute's second album as well. And then of course it came out. So that changed my Christian music writing trajectory altogether, which was good because it turned me into focusing on writing from what else was happening, writing what else was in my heart and writing what else was in my head at the time. And so lots of epic love songs and self-discovery songs, because, you know, I was on a journey of coming out, and that really didn't start for me until I was in my 20s.
So growing up in Timaru and as a teenager, you were aware you were gay. What was that like, and how did you deal with that?
At first I was aware that I was different, and you become painfully aware of that by the other children and the other teenagers who are around you. It's not really something that comes from inside of you. I just knew I was different because of the way I was being treated, which wasn't, you know, no one was really treating me badly. But yeah, because I was a musician, because I was talented at what I was doing, people often left me alone. In church, however, it was a very, very different story. So I look at my high school and I don't feel quite as much pain as I do when I look back at being a teenager in a small town church community. That's when I look back and I feel there were things that were hurtful and probably led me to have a sense of self-loathing that I really didn't deserve. So yeah, I mean, through that kind of evangelical charismatic church, I mean, I had demons cast out of me, hands laid on me, and prayers about my sexuality and how I was going to be. I mean, people could see that I was going to be a gay man when I grew up. And in my head, I was desperately fighting against it. And in my heart, and I was praying against it. It was a constant prayer. You know, people say your prayers every night, and my prayers every night were, you know, when I was really young, my prayers every night were turn me into a girl, because I didn't understand that boys could be attracted to other boys, and I thought, I'm having feelings towards other boys, I must need to be a girl. So my prayers to God were really strange. You know, turn me into a girl, or please take this away. And that caused me suffering, and that caused me sleepless nights. The church has a lot to answer for that, because that self-loathing didn't come from high school for me. It didn't come from the other kids. It didn't come from their name calling. I was stronger than that, and I was above the name calling. But God, I was not above that pressure from church to be a heterosexual, good person. And it still haunts me now. You know, there are times when I look at the gay community and I feel like we're not good people. And of course, then I slap myself out of it, and I realize that it's just that old voice in my head saying, what is good is God, and what is good is straight people getting married and having children and being productive society members in that way. And I hate it, but it's something that was ingrained through my religious upbringing. And I think that's a message the church needs to hear over and over again, is stop doing that. Because no one deserves to be growing up with a sense of self-loathing that's as innate as what the gay community has.
On a related note to all of that, do you have any thoughts on what it takes to have a happy, fulfilled or successful kind of life?
What makes me happy is doing the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing. You know, there are just a couple of things that everyone, I think, knows they're supposed to be doing, and when you're doing that, whether it's making cakes or making clothes or, you know, helping someone buy the right shoes. It's like whatever you know your real talents are, if you're doing it, you're happy. But the problem is sometimes that's not satisfying in itself. So having a satisfying life, I think, is when you have connections with other people. And, you know, I'm more satisfied with my life when I've got connections with good friends. And my friends to me are more important to me probably than my family. I think the gay community and the society in general now is creating our own families through our friendships and through the connections we have with other people. And to me, that makes me satisfied. And sometimes I have to remind myself that just having a roof over my head, and nice furniture and a big screen TV that I'm watching, you know, the latest episode of The New Normal. Watch it, it's amazing. You know, when I'm watching something and sitting in a room, I have to remind myself that that's enough.
Jamie Burgess, thank you so much. A real pleasure.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next Sunday.